What up, Earthlings? Zube here. And I've had something on my mind that I wanted to share. I've just been ruminating about it. Um, and I figured I would do that out loud because it'll help me, and maybe the process of it helping me will help somebody else, right? So back, I got divorced in 2012, but we had been separated since like mid 2011. And I had this apartment, right? And once my divorce was final in April of 2012, I had my little 2-bedroom apartment. Um, I'm like smiling right now. I think it might have been the happiest I had been like in years, right? And then for like years after, anyway, I'll get to that. But so I had this 2-bedroom apartment. The kids were 4 and 2. I guess I maybe lived there for about 4 years total. And Zeke brings this up because I had an opportunity present itself to buy a house, right? And it was like a low income or deed restricted. I don't know if other people are familiar with that type of thing, but because we live in a resort town, Breckenridge, um, housing isn't all that affordable. But one of my daughter's friends was going to move um, from this townhome, and I could qualify for it just fucking barely, like just barely. Um, and I had this 2-bedroom apartment that I rented, and I loved it. The kids shared a room. They were little, but whatever. Um, anyway, I really didn't want to move. I didn't want to move. But at that time in my life, what I did is I went around to everybody and I asked everybody for advice. Hold on, I need to catch a breath. I'm going to pause this. Okay, I caught my breath. I'm not going to read too much into it. I'm big on making sure I can get a deep breath, but I'm up in altitude right now. So anyway, I really didn't want to move, but I went around asking for advice, asking for advice, asking for advice, like, oh, renting is stupid. You would be an idiot not to take this because there's not going to be anything else like in this county that you'll be able to afford on one income. Long story short, I bought the house, and I was not happy. I loved the house. Once I like got in there, it was fucking drama because I had to be poor enough to qualify to get in and then make enough money to qualify for the mortgage. We had to jump through hoops like with the mortgage company. The underwriter called me, and underwriters are not supposed to do that shit. But she's like, knew she was working on getting this house for a single mother. There were just so many signs that I shouldn't have done it because it was a nightmare. I mean, it worked out, but she called me because she was like, your broker with this bank sucks and I can't get him to respond to me. And I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm calling you directly because I see you're like a single mom with 2 kids and I want to help you. But, and I got her what she needed, and the closing was delayed and whatever. It was gross. It was the grossest experience I ever had purchasing a house, right? And the other ones I didn't really have much to do with because my ex-husband just said sign here. So, it is what it is. But that's why I didn't get any of those houses. So anyway, when Zeke, my boyfriend, was like the biggest cheerleader for me buying this house. Like he was like, you gotta buy it. It's perfect for you, blah blah. And like his heart was totally in the right place. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, his heart was in the right place. And like to us, to people who were not me, it looked like a perfect opportunity. And believe me, I asked everybody like what they thought. And I was really looking for somebody to say, don't buy it. And I couldn't find any. Anyway, Zeke, the house ended up flooding like 2 years later. I don't know the exact timeline, but 2 years later, the house ended up flooding. It threw me into a deep, dark hole where a happy hour just happened all the time. And they were not really happy. They were like I can't even think of a funny thing about it because it was really fucking sad. I mean, and I know I had insurance, but then the homeowner's insurance and my insurance company were arguing about who paid for what. And in the meantime, it was just crazy. And I did spend extra money out of my pocket. Basically, I just like plummeted. Once the house flooded. It was like no fault of my own. It was like pipe, something was wrong with it when it was built, and it just took 5 years for it to, really get fucked up enough that it flooded my entire fucking house. Anyway, mm, Zeke and I broke up right after that. And I remember, this is really funny. This was like spirit. We kind of had to break up. This was a big one. And I drove off on this random road and pulled over in this dirt spot that overlooked a mountain. It wasn't like a parking lot or anything. It was like a turnaround for plow drivers or something. And it was early in the morning, and it was before I was doing a housekeeping clean, because at the time I was housekeeping. And I pulled up there. Zeke and I had broken up the night before. The synchronicity of this is insane. I mean, the road was like a dead end. It went up to this. Anyway, I was sitting there and I just wanted to think, okay, my house was flooded. My boyfriend and I broke up. It's not even funny. It was not funny. And okay, I'm crying. There's the tears. And what else was going wrong? Everything was going wrong. So all of a sudden, who pulls up next to me? The fucking Zeke. We had just broken up the night before. I guess he had a client up there or whatever. And I let it all out. I was like, I never wanted to buy that house, and I blamed it all on him, and he brings it up now, understandably, really understandably, right? I'm going to get to a point here because this is what I'm wrapping my head around. I was like, I was happy as shit in my little 2-bedroom apartment. Ooh, now I'm really crying. It's kind of weird. I was so happy in that little apartment. Something broke. I called the landlord. I mean, everything happened the way that it needed to happen, but he took that to heart. And so now when we make decisions, he's like, I don't know, like, you're happy. I don't want to convince you of anything, which is good, because sometimes people really do want you to do the things that they want you to do. And like, that's not necessarily cool either, but also semicolon. I was blaming him and there were fingers pointing back at me. Okay. I used to ask people for advice about everything. What do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? And then if it didn't work out, I could be like, well, that wasn't my fault. Even if it was internal, like, well, everybody thought I should, right? I was abdicating responsibility for my choices by going around and asking like tons of people what I should do about stuff. And that's not fair. You know what I mean? No, I'm not going to say that other people are not willing to like jump on that, because other people like to tell other people what to do because they don't know what to do with their own fucking lives. So like, if you don't want people who don't even know what they're doing with their own lives to tell you what to do with your life, then like stop going around and asking for advice, because really it's just a way to not be responsible for the choices that we make. Now, sometimes now, I always deep down know what to do. And that's kind of where I'm coming from. Like when I read tarot cards and everything, I'm not a fortune teller. I I won't co-sign your bullshit, but if you want to get back with the boyfriend, like I'm not going to say the cards say, I'll be like, the cards say, maybe you should look at this about yourself and this about yourself and this about yourself, but it's your responsibility. Like, your life is your responsibility. And that's what I came to. It's like I was so willing to blame other people for the situations I found myself in. And the fact that I asked so many people for advice on what to do was how I went about justifying and rationalizing my irresponsibility. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. This is hitting me like really deep. Um, and it's pretty significant because it plays into a lot of things like um, giving over power in relationships to other people. I was unconscious of the time that I had power to give away, and that I thought it was being taken from me and that I was being controlled. And so I'm not simultaneously saying that like other people do not willingly, very willingly sometimes play this game with us, right? Um, and sometimes they do it subconsciously. You know what I mean? Like if you're subjugating your own power and control over your life, like people will step in and kind of, take that role. Sometimes they don't mean it harmfully, other times they might. Um, there was another example that I had thought of where I had kind of, oh, right. So I like a year after my divorce was final, we went back to court. And I just wanted to say, whatever, I don't care, pay you help, pay, like change child support to whatever you want. I really did. That was what my inner being, my core was feeling like, I don't care, I'll make it, I'll figure it out. But, I asked for advice and everybody was like, you didn't have a lawyer when you got a divorce, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just going to keep coming to like going back to court if you don't stand up for yourself and like, and this, and I can see where they were coming from, but what I was feeling inherently was if I don't just like let this go, it's going to always be like that. And I don't really know if I had just let it go like I wanted to, but of course I got a lawyer and cost me 16 grand to get an extra like $50 a month. I think that was money well worth spending. No, it wasn't, because it kept like that, and I still owe that guy $6,000, and that's why I don't have a lawyer right now. And it's why I'm kind of like done with the court thing, because that's just pits people against one another. Anyway, but I decided to get a lawyer. And then after I did that, I was like, well, great. Where is everybody now that I owe this guy 16 grand and I have to pay up and I could only pay 10? But it was all about not taking responsibility for myself. And that feels significant. I know why I wanted to talk about this, because I was having a dream last night. I was having a dream, and I don't remember my dreams. Most of the time I'm like, I'm in war. It's really weird. I'm like fighting wars in my dreams. There's like tanks and shit. I don't know. Whatever. We're winning, I guess. But it's like an ongoing thing. And I never remember it when I wake up, but I just remember like scenes of like, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like really bossy over there. It's funny. But I had a weird dream about this one was different, about all of these dots. Okay. It's about politics basically, but and I'm going to come up here with like a real fucking naive thing, and feel free to laugh at me, I don't care. But if I'm not free to say like naive shit once in a while, then don't watch, because I am free to say that so far. But I was seeing like these balls, or these little dots, and the dots are like pushing other dots up towards the top, you know what I mean? And then sending like waves of energy to like these other dots that they're sending to the top. Okay, this is representing the people that like we vote for and stuff like that. And then they're like getting mad at what the dots up there are doing with the energy up there. And then the dots up at the top are like, whoa, hey, like it's overwhelming to be having all this energy. Okay, which I kind of get, and I'd never looked at it like that before. But having all of these little dots sending energy to the dots up top, and then they're getting perks from being up top, right? Like these other bigger dots that are built up with a bunch of energy are like, hey, here's this, now do what I say. And it just goes on like that. But then the dots at the bottom are getting weaker and weaker, because they're just sending their energy up and nothing's coming back down. Like, w- it's not that I don't think that we can collectively come into groups and create differences, right? But we're giving our power away to like thinking it'll move up and that they'll do something good with it. Well, like, why don't we do something good with it down here, you know? Um, I was thinking about Texas, right? I'm pro-choice. Like, I'm not standing here to be like, you should be pro-choice or whatever. I'm just saying, for an example, this is what I'm thinking. Where can I, because my schedule is fairly open, and I don't have any money if anybody wants to sue me anyway. But you know, where can I put up that I can give people rides to New Mexico? Like, I don't give a shit. I'll get in my car and drive somebody to New Mexico. I realize that there are other things to work around with that, and that is like there is a bigger picture, right? So there are laws and things that we do have to change, but sometimes it feels like people just sit in front of their computer and like talk to it, and which is what I'm doing right now. But you know, we can get out and do stuff too. It's like, I don't know. I just saw all of these dots sending their energy up and then being mad when the dots up there were being influenced by bigger dots up there who had a lot more to give, because they're unknowingly or unconsciously taking our energy. You know, because kind of who wouldn't? And I likened that a little bit to abdicating responsibility, um, for not doing anything in our personal lives to affect change. That's where I sort of saw that. And the dream was interesting because when I woke up, it full on kept going. So it was really weird. I was supposed to keep that one because, like I said, I don't remember my dreams. Um, anyway, I don't even know what I'm going to fucking call this, but maybe Zuby's personal Mercury square Pluto hell. I don't know. It's not really hell though. I'm in an amazing mood. Um, yeah, that's all I got. Anyway, hope you have a great day on Earth. Maybe somebody made sense of that or got something out of it. I'll see you soon. Peace. Namaste.